Hey, what's up, guys? Houston here. Look, if you're trying to get a payday loan, I'm going to tell you some of the best places. However, there's a word I want you all to remember, okay? Because this here can actually save you a lot of money on interest, all right? With some of these lenders, they have this thing called a flex loan. They offer a payday loan, and sometimes they won't tell you they offer a flex loan. A flex loan is like a line of credit, okay? And so what that means is that they only charge you on what you actually borrow, all right? And so with some of these lenders, you have to ask them, because if you don't, they won't tell you. Sometimes it's on their website, sometimes it's not. So it never hurts to ask, all right? Now, talking about some of these here lenders, you have your tribal lenders. Those, especially when you have bad credit, you have to remember, when your credit is just down in the dumps, then you more likely have to accept the reality that you're going to be charged a higher interest, okay? And in most times, your bank or your credit union won't be able to help you. It's just because of their underwriting guidelines. It's very few times that banks will give you a loan. However, they won't give you up to $5,000. They may give you maximum maybe $1,000. And so that's like with U.S. Bank, Bank of America, Wells Fargo. If you have an account with them and you haven't overdraft with them for a year, most of the time they'll give up to $1,000 with no credit check. All right, but they're not going to give you $5,000. So that's the reason why I continue to push you guys over to like tribal lenders, or you're going to go over to like fintech companies and stuff like that, or independent lenders that may be able to help you. That being said, talking about the lenders, first one is on a platform, and that's big buck loans, right? And so the reason that I tell you about like big buck loans or Viva Payday loan is because although they are platforms, they have the lowest interest rate, especially when you have bad credit, and the income. You don't have to be making a whole lot of money. The maximum amount of income you have to have after taxes with somebody like these here lenders usually is at least $500 a month. So if you're on welfare, you're receiving child support, alimony, disability, then these are going to be your more flexible lending platforms for you to go to. All right. Now, you do have the option of your direct tribal lenders that I talk about, like with Credit Fresh. They offer $5,000, which is a direct lender, tribal lender. Then you have Credit Cube. Okay, so they are tribal lender as well. What they offer the lines of credit. And again, like I said, when you find lenders that's offering the line of credit, that's a win-win for you, okay? Because again, they only can charge you what you actually use with the line of credit. Now, that being said, you guys that are entrepreneurs that's out there hustling and stuff like that, the biggest mistake that I continue to see people make, they'll say, oh, I'll do it later on. And what I mean by later on is properly registering their business. Look here. You're losing the opportunity to get money because you are doing your hustle. You're doing your side hustles and stuff like that. However, all that money is being paid under your social. So when it's being paid under your social, your AGI, your adjusted gross income, goes up. However, I continue to tell you guys, if you take that money and have it funneled through your business, and then having your business cut you a check, you're easily able to qualify for loans for not only the business, but for yourself as well. Okay, so that's the reason why I continue to tell you this. Now, one of the lenders that I tell you guys about is Giggle Finance when you're in the gig economy, because they're really flexible, especially like if you're an MLM, Uber, Lyft, DoorDash. As long as you can show proof of deposits, your proof of deposits for 3 to 4 times a month, okay, totaling at least $1,500 or more, that's where you want to be, okay? Because they're not focused on the credit. They're going to be focused on the deposits. Now, there's also fair figure in the markets, right? And so the minimum revenue that you have to be bringing in for them is like 2,500. All right. So that's the reason why I said for you guys, if you're trying to get funding with just your business, now don't get me wrong, with Giggle Finance, you do not have to have a registered business. You just have to show proof of activity in a checking account. Okay, so you don't have to have a registered business. However, with with Fair Figure, they do expect for you to have a registered business. Okay, and again, the minimum income for them is at least 2,500. All right, now that being said, talking about some of these other lenders, then you also have like Advance America. Now they have a flex line of credit up to $3,000. Again, not in all 50 states. However, it is a flex line. Again, if you're trying to save money on interest when you're trying to borrow money and stuff like that, then that's what you're going to be looking for. All right. Then you also have checking to cash. They go from 50 up to 4,500 as well. All right, with their flex line. That's the reason why you can go after. They offer the payday loans. However, again, if you're trying to save interest from that loan, you need to ask them about their flex line. Now, you do have the other hacks and stuff like that I talk about, like with the Home Depot hack, where I tell you to go to Home Depot, buy a few toiletries with your Home Depot card, and then buy some Visa and gift cards and transfer those over to your like your PayPal or those other apps like your Cash App and stuff like that. So that way you can actually have access to some capital and stuff like that. However, when you're talking about trying to get $5,000, $4,000 or $5,000, and you have bad credit, you got nobody to go to, then again, your biggest leverage is going to be with the tribal lenders. Okay. Now, there's another thing. If you guys are working that regular W-2 job, I continue to tell you guys is go to your HR, file that W-4 exempt. Okay. File that W-4 exempt for 3 to 4 months. That way you can bring home your bigger paycheck. That way you don't have to approach these lenders that offer the higher interest rates that's in the market. Okay. Now, if it's a emergency or urgent, then of course you got to do what you got to do. But I'm always trying to find resources. That's the reason why I continue to tell you guys to go to findhelp.org. When you go to findhelp.org, then you just put in your zip code, and it's going to give you all of the free nonprofits you can go to help you get caught up on your rent, your utilities, assistance for medical, if you would need assistance for your baby. There are resources that are still out there, okay? And the media will paint the picture that there's nobody else to help us or whatever, but that's not true. There are resources out here, all right? However, I would definitely tell you guys, if you're trying to boost up your credit, if you're trying to get funding and stuff, to schedule a one-on-one consultation, whether it's a 15, 30 minute or 1 hour, so that way I can have time to speak with you one-on-one to see what I can do for as resources to help you. All right. So I hope this video helped you. If you have any questions about business credit funding, personal credit funding, removing negative items off the credit, click the link in the description. Schedule a one-on-one consultation. Thank you.